Imagine waking up to a world in ruins, the streets deserted, the sky darkened by smoke. The air carries an eerie silence, broken only by the distant hum of something unknown. But this isn't the end of the world. It's just another acting job. Or is it? What if you signed up for a game so real, so immersive, that you couldn't tell where the fiction ended and the nightmare began? What if reality itself was just another set piece? Throughout history, humans have blurred the line between entertainment and reality. Gladiators in ancient Rome fought not just for victory, but for survival, while spectators watched, detached from the brutal reality of their suffering. Reality TV shows today push contestants to their limits, from Survivor to extreme endurance experiments, where psychological breakdowns are dismissed as good television. But what happens when the cameras never turn off? What happens when the script keeps changing and the rules are no longer clear? The Stanford prison experiment of 1971 showed us just how easily people slip into roles when given power dynamics and a controlled environment. Volunteers became aggressors. Others became victims, all because a psychologist told them it was part of the experiment. Now imagine a world where that experiment never ended, where the only way to survive was to keep playing along. Could you maintain your sanity, or would the performance become your reality? If you were trapped in this game, how would you test the limits? Would you try to break the illusion? Or would you surrender to the role just to feel safe? This is the ethical dilemma of extreme immersion. Can we push entertainment so far that we break the human mind? If the protagonist in Rehearsing the Apocalypse truly is inside a simulation, the real question is not whether he can escape, but whether there's anything left to escape to. Because what if the world outside has already collapsed? Our protagonist, a struggling actor, has just landed what seems like the role of a lifetime, playing the last survivor in an ultra-immersive apocalypse simulation. The job seems simple. Follow the script, interact with the world, and survive. But what starts as an exhilarating challenge quickly becomes something much darker. The lines between fiction and reality begin to blur. Events happen that weren't in the script. People disappear without explanation. Doors that were locked are suddenly open. And most disturbingly, the outside world falls silent. Imagine being on the set of a movie, only to realize the cameras are gone, the crew has vanished, and the story continues whether you play along or not. This isn't just a thought experiment. In 2016, the Russian reality show Game 2, Winter promised contestants an anything-goes survival experience in the wilderness, even claiming that violence was allowed. While later revealed to be a hoax, the mere fact that people signed up shows how far audiences and participants are willing to push reality for the sake of entertainment. The idea of immersive entertainment has fascinated and terrified people for decades. Consider The Truman Show, a film where an ordinary man's life is secretly a 24/7 broadcast, his every action scripted, his reality entirely fabricated. What if you found yourself in a similar situation, but instead of a utopian small-town dream, it was a world collapsing around you? What if every struggle, every fear, was carefully crafted to make you believe you were the last human alive? The ethical dilemma is clear. Should there be limits to realism and entertainment? If the suffering is simulated, does that make it acceptable? Rehearsing the Apocalypse explores what happens when a performance stops being an act and becomes survival. And when the protagonist realizes he may not be able to leave, he is forced to ask, was this ever just a game? At first, it was easy to dismiss the inconsistencies as part of the experience. A misplaced object, a door left open that should have been locked. Small things, easy to ignore. Just an overactive imagination, right? But then, reality itself began shifting. Objects moved between frames of his memory. A cup left on the table would be gone an hour later. A wall that once had graffiti was now clean. The people he spoke to the day before had no memory of meeting him. When he asked the same question twice, he got two entirely different answers. And the worst part? No one else seemed to notice. Psychologists call this gaslighting, manipulating someone into doubting their own perception. The infamous case of the Mandela effect is an example, where large groups of people collectively misremember events, like the spelling of the Berenstain Bears or a non-existent scene in Star Wars. But what if it wasn't a mistake? What if the world around you was intentionally being rewritten? The 1971 Stanford prison experiment revealed how quickly people adapt to new realities. Students assigned to play guards became brutal. Prisoners broke down emotionally, forgetting it was just a study. If an illusion is strong enough, the human mind will conform, even if logic says otherwise. Now, imagine waking up one day to find that the world outside is no longer under control. The news reports aren't changing, but the landscape is. Street names switch overnight. Familiar faces no longer recognize you. And the people who do might not be people at all. Could you trust what you see? Would you even know if reality had changed? The truth is revealed, but is it too late? The protagonist now understands. This was never just a game. The walls of his reality crumble, not physically, but in his mind. The streets are shifting, familiar places morphing into something unrecognizable. People smile, but their eyes are hollow. Their words sound rehearsed, as if they are reading from a script only they can see. This isn't just a simulation. This is his life. Or was it? The memories he trusted, the emotions he felt, were they real? And if they weren't, then what is? The 17th century philosopher René Descartes once asked, what if an evil demon were deceiving us, creating the illusion of everything we know? Today, we ask the same question, but replace the demon with artificial intelligence, deepfake technology, and psychological conditioning. If your reality was fabricated, If your past was rewritten, how would you know? The concept of hyperreality suggests that in a world flooded with digital illusions, the boundary between truth and fiction dissolves. When every emotion can be simulated, every event manipulated, at what point do we stop caring whether it's real or not? But there's a more terrifying possibility. What if escaping isn't an option? What if this illusion, this world, this carefully designed reality is all that exists? The protagonist takes a breath, looks around. He feels the wind, sees the sky, hears the voices calling his name. It all seems real, but is it? And now, one final question. If reality itself is just a game, how do you ever wake up?